Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be interviewing the legendary stuntman, Bob Elmore. He doubled for Bill Johnson in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and he became a huge presence, a huge name off of that, but he also doubled for people in the Monster Squad and Dr. Giggles and many other films. He even doubled for John Candy for like 5 films back in the day, and we're going to be talking to him today, and I'm pretty excited. I rarely ever have stunt people on the show. I've had Spice Williams on the show, of course, but yeah, so I'm going to interview Bob Elmore. He's going to be calling me in just a moment, and we're going to talk about his career and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and all that fun stuff. I can't wait. It's going to be cool. Hi, Bob.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
Not too bad at all.
Oh, well, thank you for taking your time today, sir.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's just awesome. So how did you know at an early age that you wanted to do stunts and act and all that?
No, not at all. I was an athlete for a long time, and I was going to be a coach is what I wanted to do. And when I ended up going to college and coming out of college, there were no jobs, so okay, whatever. That didn't pan out too well, but I was working in a liquor store, and I had a big guy, and I had a full head of hair, and it was all brown, and I had a full beard. And the guy came in and he said, "Be the perfect type for there's a Wild West stunt show at Osprey Farm, which was not too far from where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
And you would be a good character." So I went in, I auditioned, I got a job there, and then I through the years worked on and off in there at Osprey Farm, doing this, doing that, and come to a point where I said, "Man, I may want to try this for real," because I thought I could do it. And did a commercial for Knott's and got into the Screen Actors Guild, and I didn't work. I didn't get anything for 2.5 years. And then I finally got my first job. But that was where it all started, was through that. And we were doing, high falls and pratfalls and acting on stage and, and all that. And that came into handy later on, but that's where it all started, yeah.
Wow. So what were your sports?
Oh, I played football, and I wrestled in college and high school, college. I played semi-pro football for $45 a weekend for about a year. So and that was my background. But in the process of learning how to to be a stuntman, how to do movie fights, you have to know at that particular time. You have to know to do a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
At a horse, how to high fall, how to movie fights and how different they are than and how to sell a punch and so on and so forth. And but that was all learning, and perfecting your craft, because I'm a firm believer in persistence will get you to a spot. Even in the stunt business, if you're persistent at it, you're going to get a job. But by God, you better know what you're doing at that point.
Oh, I agree with you, sir. Yeah, I did football, wrestling, and track in high school. I'm a pretty big guy, so yeah, I did all those sports too. You have to be pretty athletic to do stunts, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I think you're a paid professional athlete as a stuntman, and you have to live like that. You have to live the job of working out all the time and taking care of yourself, and then and enhancing your abilities and your skills and learning how to I've always been right-handed. Well, I had to learn to do left-handed because you might be in a situation where you have to throw a left-handed punch, and that better be good. So you have to be ambidextrous about stuff, and you have to learn all the little tricks, and then you got to find somebody who'll teach you, which is really, really hard. And like I said, that's where the persistence came out.
And where are you originally from?
Well, I'm a native Californian. I'm from here, and so I know where LA is at. A lot of the guys at that particular time in their early '80s and stuff were coming from Midwest and back east here.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays they're everywhere, but this was the place to go if you wanted to do some work.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the first movie listed on your IMDb you worked on was Police Academy 2. How did you get involved with this movie?
Well, this stunt work is networking. It's all who you know.
Right.
And I'd been studying judo with Gene LaBelle, who's a famous martial artist and stuntman also. And he got me my first job, period. I worked on a movie called, or not a movie, but a TV series called Remington Steele.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that's the only thing I did. I had a beard, and like I said, I had hair then, and that was a 2-day job. It was a lot of money. That was the first one. And then it's just, networking and meeting people. You don't know how many things I did for free, for different people, helping them out, and so on and so forth like that. And that was a networking where, if I can't remember his name, needed a big guy to double another big actor, and that was it. And he liked my size, asked around, yeah, I'm a good guy, period, and I got the job.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I've had some people from Police Academy 2 and 3 on. Some have told me that Jerry Paris was like a father figure, and some say he was a bully. How did you find working with him?
Oh, I was fine. This is what I want. Okay, this is what we're going to do for you, and that's business. And that's how it went. So you have to treat it like that. I understand there. If you're doing a movie like that, you're trying to get the best performance that you can get, and you want to save money because you only have a certain amount of budget, and you want the most spectacular thing you can get from a stunt person, and you don't want to pay him very much money. So that's how that goes, and I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But he was fine with me. Oh,
that's good. Yeah, that's one of the few Police Academy movies that was shot in L.A. because they were all shot in Canada.
Yep.
Then you did.
That was a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah, they're fun movies. You then did stunts for A Fine Mess. I heard Blake Edwards was very depressed on this movie. Is that true?
He was sick when nobody knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was really, really sick, and and that A Fine Mess. I went in. I got called in to double Paul Sorvino.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in, and another guy who I just happened to know personally, and who was another Knott's Berry Farm guy, was doubling him. Was supposed to double him on the movie. Well, he had taken a job and is running over a little bit, so they wanted another double, and it was only supposed to be for a couple days, and then he was going to come back. When I went in, they liked me. Paul Sorvino looked at me. He goes, "Yeah, that's it. He's it. The other guy's out." So I went in, and it was supposed to be for a week. Ended up being forever because Mr. Blake was filming. We filmed all over. We were stealing and robbing places to film. We would get a camera crew going, and we would go all over because it was a big car chase.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd go all over where we weren't supposed to be, and and film stuff, and it just went on and on and on. So that turned into a really nice job for me, and from that point, I doubled Paul in a couple other movies, and then we did a TV series together.
Wow, I met Paul this summer at a convention. Very nice man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I have a quick, and it's a long story that I'll make short. As being a stuntman, a working stuntman, you don't work every day, but I had a family and a house, and I had to take care of, I had responsibilities, so I was working construction for a friend of mine. I was in Huntington Beach. I get a call. They go, well, how fast can you get to Salt Lake City? I said, well, do you know where I'm at? And I go, when's the next available flight? And they go, 5 o'clock. Okay, so I call and said, hey, look, are you ready? I'm going to Salt Lake City. Blah, blah, blah. I make it get there, and then I get to Salt Lake City about 7 o'clock. And to the sound stage, you get there, and Paul is in the corner reading the paper, and he'd been there all day. He wouldn't do anything unless I was called in to double him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the stunt coordinator, who I knew him, he didn't know of me, had brought in another guy to double him, you know, and his own guy. And Paul didn't like him, so they told him to call me. I showed up, and I told him, I said, man, you can't do that. I mean, that makes you look like, you know what, for not working, and then that makes me, you put me in a really bad spot, you know.
Yeah.
And so it all worked out, and then worked out great. Again, the guy, we did a fight in an industrial laundry, and myself and the other person, we just beat ourselves to death, and they loved it. Kept us on. It was supposed to be in Korea, and we're supposed to be Koreans driving a car, and he goes there, put a hat on and sit real low, you know. And I was okay. So that in the long run, it worked out great.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
You then did the classic that you're very much known for, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh my gosh, you know. No, I never heard of this movie. When we got the word that we were going to go to Texas and do this, and it was myself, Dan Berenger, who doubled Bill Moseley, Jimmy Steffen, who doubled Dennis Hopper, and Beth Newfer, who doubled Caroline Williams. So we're all, this group of us went from L.A. to Texas. And we get there, and, you know, and we did the bridge scene first, and I broke my wrist. So I ended up working with a broken wrist through the whole movie. But
wow.
We did that, and then now we did another scene in the covered cave area, and it was a Quonset hut runway at an old amusement park in outside of Austin. So you get in there, and I do my thing. I come out, jumping around, hit a light, made a spark, and I had to do that 10 more times, of course. And we put that all together, and then, okay, now I'm done. As far as I thought, I get out, I go outside, and I'll start to take my clothes off because it was 110 degrees, you know, 150 degrees in this tube. And then I go, hey, wait, you know, I get a call. Wait, Bob, wait, we want to see you inside. So I go back inside, and he goes, well, Bill Johnson can't lift the chainsaw. Bill Johnson can't run. Bill Johnson doesn't want to. So you're going to have to do all the close-ups.
Wow.
And that's how it started, and that's where it went.
Wow. Was it a pretty fast shoot?
Oh, I think we were almost 4 months, you know, constant. You know, we worked 6 days a week as a company, and then the stunt people, we went in on Sunday and prepped for Monday. So we were working 7 days a week.
Wow.
You know, and the weather was just horrendous. The sound stage was between 140, 160 degrees in the inside because of all the lights, and there was just no way to cool it down. They just, you know, just couldn't do it. So we had to work. You know, and it was crazy. I mean, we all ended up being insane. At the end of it.
Yeah, and I heard Tobe Hooper didn't even want to do a sequel, but it was a big money opportunity that came to him.
I think the $24 million is what they did it for. Something like that. And, you know, and heck yeah, it was the money. It was more, you know, he didn't make any, the original movie, the actors didn't make any money. I don't think Toby made any money. And, you know, to be an iconic film like that, they all got screwed because they asked Gunnar Hansen to come back to do part 2.
Yeah.
And he goes, you know, yeah, but I'm going to do it for this amount of money. And they just, no way, you know, no way. Because he got so screwed on the first one.
Right.
You know, so they didn't take him, and the rest is history.
Yeah, everyone who did those low-budget horror movies back in the 70s, they all got screwed on the movies because they didn't know the business side, you know?
No, absolutely. I mean, it was just terrible to hear the stories, and because I still, I got to meet everybody. Yeah, I never got to meet Gunnar, which I was so, I wanted to really bad, just to meet him because I was a fan, but I just never got a chance to do it, and I was very unfortunate that he passed away, and then, but everyone that I talked to, all of them, were. They just got screwed. I mean, there's no other way to put it, really.
Yeah, that's pretty
You know,
sad.
which is unfortunate, but that's what happened. And then, but on the circuit nowadays, you know, there's still people out there, you know, going. Unfortunately, Marilyn passed away, but I got to meet her. I mean, I met everybody else but Gunner.
Yeah, I'm interviewing Terry McMinn next month.
Yeah, I've done, you know, a couple of shows with Terry, and she, you know, tell about the horror stories, and they were, you know, they all sounded like they were true. You know, so, but Toby, you know, I mean, Dennis did it because he had to. He was under contract, and, you know, Toby did it because he needed the money, and so on and so forth, and now it's become it's all an iconic picture.
Yeah, the funny,
you know, 32 years ago, you know, and now it's still people are talking about it all the time.
Yeah, the funny part is it boggles my mind that Dennis Hopper did, because it came out the same year as his two major comeback movies, Blue Velvet and Hoosiers, which he got an Academy Award nomination for, and he later called Chainsaw Massacre 2 the worst movie he ever made.
Well, he was so messed up, you know. He was there. Him and Toby would get high at lunch every day. I mean, just higher than, you know, kites.
Yeah.
And otherwise, or he wouldn't want to go. He was going to go play golf with Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson had a golf course at the time in Austin, and they'd have to go get him, find him, and bring him back to the set because he hated it.
Yeah.
You know, but he was still a professional when he did his stuff. You know, he really was. He tried his hard, you know, to bring something to the character, and he was right on and everything, and he worked with everybody, and just a nice gentleman. You know, I got to talk to him a lot, you know, but we talked about family, talked about other things other than movies, and it was just so neat for me to be with this guy, you know.
Yeah.
Who can say that? I mean, there's not too many around.
No. I mean, this was my introduction to him, and then, you know, my dad, you know, grew up watching him in Easy Rider and Rebel Without a Cause and all that stuff. I mean, the guy's an icon.
Well, we finished Texas and whenever later on he was doing Colors.
Yeah.
And I went down to Venice Beach, and they were filming down there, and he was there, and I got to talk to him, and we kind of laughed about all that, you know. That was neat.
Did you get along with Bill Johnson?
I get along with Bill, but, you know, I mean, Bill, I don't know. This is people ask, like, what did you do in the movie? I go, well, I did everything in the movie. I go, I did this, Bill did this. Bill did, I think, 2 or 3 close-ups, and that's it. And that's all he did.
Wow.
You know, and if you break down the movie, and you go, okay, there it is. And just happened one day I was playing on the internet, and I looked up his name, and he had a web page, and on the web page he was selling pictures, you know, 8x10s.
Yeah.
I go, cool. I'm looking at him, and 8 of the 10 pictures are of me.
Yeah.
And I go, hey, and I called him on. I said, hey, look, man, you do this, or I'm gonna get a lawyer, and I'll sue you. And I go, this is baloney. You know what you did.
Yeah.
And so he took that down. And then later on, I mean, we did a convention together, and they asked me. He goes, the promoter came up and he goes, hey, Bill Johnson's going to be on. He's being sponsored by a group. You know, would you mind if he came to the show? I said, I don't care. I go, there's a difference. I go, this is what I did. Here it is, and this is what he did.
Yeah.
And that was it. So yeah.
Wow.
You know, he said something to somebody about a stuntman should never do that to an actor. You know, about claiming this or that. And I said, well, you know what? This is what I did, and this is what I'm claiming. You know.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got contracts to prove it that I was an actor, doubling myself on a stunt contract also. So I was working 2 contracts for a lot of time on the movie. You know. So yeah.
Wow.
And I put the word out. I don't badmouth him. You know, I just say this is. Just look at the facts. Here they are.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So,
Yeah, I saw you and Bill Moseley at Son of Monster Palooza in Burbank last year, and
oh,
I got
really?
yeah,
Cool.
I got to meet Bill, but I didn't get to meet you because my
Oh,
friend needed to be babysat for most of the day, and so I was just there's a lot of people I didn't get to meet that day, but
yeah.
I got to meet Bill as one of them. But yeah,
No, Bill Moseley, he is such a cool guy.
yeah,
I've run into him several times, over the years now, and I like, Bill is just great. Just a cheat, just a great gentleman, and as smart as a whip, and hallelujah. So yeah, he's fun.
oh yeah, he was telling me about working with Clint Eastwood on a movie and stuff.
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of things over the years. He really has. He's still working today. He does all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, there's no stopping him.
No, none at all. He just keeps going. Kane Hodder, another one. Kane and I worked on a movie. I was doubling John Candy, and Kane was doubling Dan Aykroyd. I think it was called Nothing But Trouble or something like that.
Yep.
Years and years ago. So yeah, I've known Kane for a long time.
Yeah, I met Kane too at the other Monster Palooza last year. He's a funny guy.
He does his thing. We're going to be at a show, I believe, in Germany in November. So I'll get to see him again.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I did. You did one of my favorites from childhood, the Monster Squad. How did that one come about?
That was fun. I was a stunt cop. I got killed by Dracula. I got killed by the fish guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fish guy, who happens to be Tom Woodruff Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
who went on to become, he was working with Stan Winston, making all the monster, that they went on and did. After that, they did the Predators and so on and so forth, and
Yeah.
all of that. So the movie business is a small world. It really is.
Yeah.
And you run across everybody eventually.
Oh yeah, especially in those days. Hollywood was such a small community in those days. Now it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really big camaraderie in those days that it's missing today, and it's quite unfortunate.
Well, that's the thing about like I said, networking back then is how you got jobs.
Yeah.
And it's like who you knew. One of your friends was coordinating, and then you were with them, and and hopefully they could get you a job, or meeting somebody and having the word out that they'll. Bob's a good guy. He'll do this for you. He'll go all out. Blah blah blah. And I got many jobs that way too. So it's just now it's just like huge, and I'm glad I'm not in it now. I'm glad I did it when I did, and I have a retirement out of it, and so very happy. And I'm still doing this stuff. I'm going to next month. My wife and I are going to go to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
For a show, and then we're going to go to Niagara Falls for a show in October, and then like I said, I'm going to go to Germany in November.
Wow, that's good.
Oh yeah, it's fun. I'm retired now, so this is great for me, to get out, do a little traveling, make a couple bucks, and
Yeah.
just a horrendous amount of people who are just infatuated with all this.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm going to get to conventions in a moment, but yeah, I love conventions. I've been going to them just for a couple of years, and I'm hooked on them.
Oh yeah, they're like it's crazy. Monster Mania, which is a huge show, and that was just I had a blast at those. I've done a few here in the last couple of years, and I just have a blast. I get to meet people that it's like I said, it's 32 years ago, and I'm talking to people, 19, 20 years old. I go, you weren't even born. Yeah, but my dad, turned me on to this, and, this is the greatest thing I ever saw. And da, 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the funny part.
Yeah. Then you did Big Bad Mama 2. How did that come about?
Well, again, another networking thing. And a lot of this, I forgot I did them,
Mm-hmm.
I got double John Candy and I think 6 or 7 movies for John, so I remember those, and then in between I've Goodman in a movie, a couple things for him. Paul Sorvino, a couple, more things for him. Mike Starr, I got to work with Steven Seagal. That was real fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then, but I played myself in so much that, I always got beat up or killed, always. Always.
Yeah.
Always played the bad guy. Oh, and Johnny Depp, I was the executioner. Now my wife just reminded me.
Yeah.
Executioner on Pirates of the Caribbean, and meeting Johnny Depp, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just, he was. They're all weird. All actors are crazy.
Yeah.
I think. But, but still a nice person,
Yeah. I've heard he's a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, so you got to double for John Candy for several films. And how did you get so lucky doing that?
Okay, well, again, it's, meeting people and networking and so on and so forth. Dick Warlock, who was a stunt coordinator, who doubled, when you get old, you forget everything. Mm-hmm. But I ran into him at a 5K charity race for the Stuntmen's Association, and he was there, and he goes, hey, I want you to come down to Culver City. I want you to you'd meet a couple of people. I think I might have a job for you doubling that actor. I go, okay, fine. So I go to Culver City and meet the director. The director was Mel Brooks. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, it'd be perfect. He was good size. He looked da-da-da-da-da. He goes, well, can you do a running, can you do run and do a forward roll? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, can you show? I go, yeah, I'll show you right here. So I did it. And he goes, okay, great. So now, all right. So end up, and I come in, I get made up and all that, and I'm doubling John Candy on Spaceballs.
Wow.
And I go, oh my gosh. Okay, now we looked so much alike. People were talking to me like I was John. I go, no, you got the wrong one. And he would come out, and we're like spitting images. Because the shoulder width was the same. I wore a belly pad, so the girth was the same. Our height was really close. And once I put a wig on, and I'm fairly dark all the time, they lightened me up a lot, and with makeup and all that, and there you go. So that was the beginning of my career with John, with Spaceballs.
Yeah, my great uncle Michael O'Shea was a cinematographer on that movie.
I know Michael O'Shea. Are you kidding?
Nope, not kidding.
No, I mean I worked with him many times.
Yeah.
Dude, man. Oh, see, that's a small world.
Yeah, him and John died a year apart, and I didn't get to meet either of them.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That one, that was too bad. But he knew he had a heart condition. He didn't, take care of himself, and so on and so forth. But he was good to me.
Yeah, he was a good man. Do you have any memories from working on Dr. Giggles?
Dr. Giggles, that was another epic. Yeah, that was fun too. Yeah, I double Paul Drake on that, and I'm going, oh, you've got to be kidding! These things are so weird, and end up doing a fight in a operating room that was on fire, and and burning our clothes up, burning eyebrows were gone. I mean, this is what we did, and we kept doing it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then something I was dodging, an explosion, and all the above.
Yeah. It's actually Larry Drake, not Paul Drake.
That's right, Larry Drake. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's an underrated classic. There's some clever killings in that movie.
Absolutely. All those, that's why I refer to it like that. I mean, it was another one. Part 2, Texas Chainsaw Part 2 was just so odd, and it was off the wall. Mm-hmm. It became, fairly comical.
Yeah.
And because it was so stupid, and people are finally getting it for what it was. And, so, and then Dr. Giggles was another one I like that. I don't know, I had fun. It was a good job. Like I said, I was working, and that was good for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first Chainsaw Massacre, it had black humor in it, but it was, a dark movie, for its time. And then the sequel just was, a lot more campy and over the top and comical.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was really. I mean, that's why it became like none of this made sense, and it was so stupid, thinking. But people, finally, got it.
Yeah. So you retired in the 2000s, right?
I retired, from stunt work, and I finally retired last January from everything. I don't do anything now. I'm retired.
Yeah. You just do, so you just do the conventions?
I do, I've been doing a couple of those. I have time now to do it. Before, if I had the time, I could do some, and I did. And now it's like, I got a couple of agents, and they're all looking out for me, and I just got married like 4 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Right? And so we decided, I said, well, if I get any more jobs, then let's go together. So we've been able to do that. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to go in September, and then we're going to go together in October, but I'm just going to make the trip to Germany myself.
Wow. Congratulations on the marriage.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing the conventions now?
I don't know, 3 or 4 years, something like that.
Oh, so
like I got a call out of the blue, and the guy goes, "Hey, did you do this?" I go, "Yeah." And well, how do we? And I go, "Look, dude, you called me." I go, "Here, I'm going to give you my what fors, and you look at the movie again, and you tell me." A couple days later, he calls back and he goes, "Hey, all right, I got a deal, and here it is. How would you like to do Horror Hound Weekend in Indianapolis or something?" Yeah. I said, "Oh, fine." And they pay, pay your way there. They pay, put you up in a nice hotel. Give you per diem, which I'm all about eating.
Yeah.
And I made a horrendous amount of money. And I've done shows now where I've done really well. And I've done shows where I think the last one I did one in San Antonio, and it was so bad. I think it cost me $400 or $500 because I had my grandchildren up with me, and I was buying them everything. That one cost me. I didn't make any money on that one. The rest of it, and it's not a lot of money. It's just, it's some, and I appreciate it, and that's what's so fun. But it's fun to meet people, and that's just absolutely.
Do you make more money selling autographs than you do when they actually pay you to be there, or you get the per diem?
I've gone on the deals where I've done a couple for guarantees, which I've always made my guarantee. A guarantee is whatever it may be at the end of the show. If you don't make that, they'll cover the rest of it. But I've done really well where people have come up and and I've been able to meet my guarantee. I've done shows without a guarantee, and I make a couple bucks, and that's fine by me.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just so hooked on conventions, going to them and stuff. They're just so much fun. I heard back in the day though they were a little bit more fun because back then the celebrities didn't charge for autographs, and there wasn't as many people as there is now.
Well, this got everybody and their brother out, and now, and I don't. Me personally, this is my personal feelings about it. That no one's worth $100 for an autograph. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe in that. And you don't know how much stuff I just give away for free.
Yeah.
Because it's mine. And you can tell if a family comes in, they don't have a lot of money, and so it's like I'll take pictures with them. I give stuff away.
Yeah.
I do whatever, and that's how I. That's just me personally. Now, some people are, just money hungry. I don't know what else to call it. And some of them are just assholes.
Yeah.
My language.
But then there's great guys like Robert Englund who does charge like up to $80 for an autograph. Yeah. Who I'm sure I'm sure he's not comfortable charging that much, but it's his agent who does it.
Listen, he's in the situation where he he gets a guaranteed certain amount of money. Okay, so to meet that guarantee for the promoter, he's got to charge a certain amount of money per picture.
Right.
So they're not out all this cash, and I can understand that too. But then again, hey, I worked. It's so funny. I have a picture that I use, and it's myself. It's Robert Englund as Freddy, Dean Hodder as Jason, and George Wilbur as Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Now that was done for People magazine in 1986.
Wow.
And that picture's out. I can go, and everybody's still alive. And I worked with Robert Englund on Married with Children. I did I think 18 episodes of Married with Children over my career.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and those were fun because there was always the sports bar fight or something. I did the Pink Ladies. I was a Pink Lady in an episode.
Yeah.
1 second.
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm clearing my throat.
It's okay.
And so he played the devil. I played Genghis Khan. All this, that stuff. So yeah, I run into him. It's just, it's just funny to look back now.
Yeah, I love Married with Children, and yeah, Ed O'Neill. That guy's hilarious. Yeah.
No, it was $1,800. 3 days worth of work, and they had a great meal on Friday because they did two shows. One in the afternoon, one in the evening, and we got to eat like kings between the two shows. They would take the best of each, or whatever, which one, and that would be the episode. So those were good gigs.
Oh, so they shot the show twice?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. Wow, that's a lot of work.
It's a long day. I mean, and it's in front of a live audience. So, boom, boom, boom. TV's different than motion pictures. TV is so much quicker because they have to be. In the day there, so you were rocking and rolling on everything. Movies a little different because of the setups involved and lighting, and then you have to cover the coverage that you have to do on people. If there's two people, there's back and forth, masters, and then close-ups for each one, and and so on and so forth like that. It's a whole different world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know Spice Williams?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had her on the show. Yeah. I had her on the show about a year ago, and she was telling me how she's been trying for years to get the Academy of Arts and Sciences to recognize stunt people, and she feels that stunt people are just underappreciated. Would you say so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You look at today, and the movies that are generating millions and millions of dollars of business are usually action movies, and they have all they try to do the CGI thing, tried to take out humans, didn't work.
Yeah.
They got smart about that and quit that one, and now they're doing processing where they use a live actor or stunt person, and they get the movement of a human, and then they they put a big blue body on them or something. So you're still using stunt people, and it's still them that are falling down and or riding a bike or doing this or doing that. Debbie Evans, who is probably the best stunt woman ever, and Lane Levitt, her husband, they're innovative pioneers of the stunt business, and just so on, and so many, the families, the Eppers and the Rondells, and and all of that. Those are just generations of stunt people. Dar Robinson.
Yeah. Dar Robinson was oh my God, he was just he was brilliant. If there's such a word for a stunt person.
Absolutely, and to be killed on a stupid thing, and which is unfortunate. It was just stupid, and just so on and so on. There's just families, and then there's just all kinds of individuals, and but they should have been. They should recognize the stunt person himself, and they should recognize the stunt coordinators who put all this together. They're the ones that are using people to their fullest of their talent. And putting all this stuff together, and they've over the years have gone so much smarter and so much more technical than back in the days when, you just had to hit your spot, hopefully, and there you go. But, yeah, I'm 100% behind that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, the great Ted White.
Ted White, is a gentleman and a half. He's been around forever, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he was doubling for John Wayne and Clark Gable in Rock Hudson back in the day.
Back in the day, absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I did a movie with Maureen O'Hara. She would play John Candy's mother in
Only the Lonely. Yeah.
And she was talking about, she had a companion in Chicago. We were there, and she was a stunt woman who rode horses in Spartacus with Kirk Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it should be recognized. Without them, I don't think you could make a motion picture with worth its beans. And the Academy should, hopefully they do it one of these days.
Yeah.
Hope I'm around.
Yeah, that would be great to see that, I have to say. So you have, what conventions, again, you have coming up?
In September, I'm doing the New Jersey HorrorCon in Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's September, October, what's it called? Nightfall, Horror at the Falls, which is in Niagara Falls. And then I'm going to go to Germany to do one in November.
Ah, that's great. Well, Bob, I hope I get to meet you someday in California when you get booked here and stuff. And I really appreciate your time today. Thank you, sir, and have yourself a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you very much. And let me know what's going on. Hit me up again and just say hi, and I'll let you know what's going on with me personally, and then maybe we will.
Yeah, I could send you a friend request, right?
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Right, my pleasure. You guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Bob Elmore. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, Bob. It was really great talking about the stunt industry and show business, and that was really awesome. I appreciate it so much. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.